Major Hurricane Erin continues to churn in the Atlantic, and it continues to trend a little bit further west this morning. Still not expecting direct impacts to the United States, but some wave and wind impacts are increasingly likely to the East Coast, specifically in the Carolinas. We'll take a look at that in today's tropical forecast update, and then right on Erin's heels, another potential tropical disturbance that could move closer to the United States as we close out the month of August. We'll have our updated forecast with that idea later on in this video. Starting out, here's the latest satellite imagery of Hurricane Erin, back up to a Category 4 hurricane this morning. You can see the eye is not as cleared out as it was. We've gone through some eye wall replacement cycles, which has led to a slightly less organized structure during that progression, but it also allowed for some re-strengthening of Erin, and we should continue at Category 4 strength as we go throughout the day today before slowly beginning to weaken tomorrow and into your Wednesday as it starts to move towards the East Coast. Now, if we look at the trend with the forecast of Erin over the past several days, all of these different lines that you see were the ensemble mean trends. All of the different ensemble models that we have, the European data, the American data, the United Kingdom data, and the Canadian data, basically all blended into one line, the mean forecast. You can see there has been a very consistent westward trend. In fact, pretty much every single run over the past week has trended further and further west. Erin has stayed on the south side of data persistently throughout the duration of its lifetime, and no reason to think that that will not continue to be the case as it continues to exceed expectations with its intensity. Now, does that mean that it's going to go all the way out to the east coast of the United States? No, it's not going to make landfall in the United States, but it may get close enough as it continues to take a little bit further to the west compared to model guidance. It could end up being far enough west here that parts of the Carolinas, specifically the Outer Banks in North Carolina, could see some impacts of wind and waves. If we take a look here, here's the latest spread in the model guidance. You can see that even right now, the closest member is still well off of the East Coast, with the mean still out here several hundred miles away from the coastal portion of the United States. However, this storm is big enough, it's strong enough that it's going to churn up a lot of water. There are going to be some big waves, high surf associated with this, even for areas along the East Coast. Now, a further west trend, and you would be moving this maximum wave height, these 45 to 55 foot wave heights closer to the coast, right through here. Right now, you can see that those highest waves stay a little bit further to the east, and certainly the biggest waves will continue to stay out into the Atlantic, but a further west trend would mean higher maximum wave height. Obviously, concerns from a marine standpoint along the east coast of North Carolina, especially, but even maybe into parts of Virginia, South Carolina as well. Now, something else that I want you to keep in mind here with this particular chart, this does not mean that throughout the entire storm there are going to be 70-foot waves. That's not how it works. But at times you can get these higher wave heights, and you can get, in some cases, flooding issues associated with these wave heights. So something to keep in mind for those coastal areas. Think of it almost like wind gusts. You're not going to necessarily see a sustained 180 mile per hour wind gust in a hurricane, but in the strongest gusts, you can see that. Taking a look here at the maximum wind gust forecast, as you can see, the strongest wind gusts staying well off of the East Coast, but you could deal with some tropical storm level criteria wind gusts along the North Carolina coast here, maybe 35 to 45, maybe even locally 50 mile per hour wind gusts if we continue to tick this forecast a little bit further to the west. Outside of that, really not expecting major impacts out of Hurricane Erin for the U.S., outside of it amplifying a cold front that will move into the United States as we work into next week. But there's another system behind Hurricane Erin. In fact, if we take a look by the 26th of the month, we can see the European ensemble data trying to hint at another tropical system, maybe a storm or even a hurricane, but there's a huge spread in the data still. We have areas of low pressure it's trying to depict that follow Erin's track, But we also have a clustering of low pressure systems that it's trying to indicate could take a tropical system towards the Gulf. Something to keep in mind here down the road, that in 8-9 days time, we may need to be monitoring another system close to the United States. If we take a look at the American data, it is further east. It keeps most of these storms, most of these members, I should say, off of the East Coast and more so in the open ocean. What does it all mean at this distance? Well, right now we're just monitoring for the potential development. 50 to probably 60% chance that we will see another named storm in here right behind Erin moving towards the Caribbean. Right now, if we had to make a forecast, we think 50 to 60% chance of development moving towards the Caribbean, but that's where the uncertainty increases. I think that at this time, you could be dealing with a storm anywhere from Cuba all the way out into the open ocean in the Atlantic. At the very least, though, this is a system that we need to monitor. It probably has a slightly higher potential to move towards the U.S. coast compared to Erin, and so Florida, and of course the southeastern portion of the country, something to monitor as we work towards the last couple of days of this month. If we take a look at some of the differences right now in the upper level setup, you can see why the GEFS is trying to send this next system out to sea. It's because here's your Bermuda high right here, which will allow for the storm to circulate like this. It also dives down this cold front a little bit further south, which will prevent it from moving towards the East Coast. However, the EPS here, it strengthens this Bermuda high a lot faster, it's a lot more expansive. It would force the system to move towards the Gulf. It's also weaker with the cold front and further to the north, so it does not pick it up as fast as the GEFS. Bottom line here, there's still a lot to sort out, but I would still be keeping an eye on 26th, 27th, 28th of the month for some type of tropical mischief moving at least somewhere near the United States down the road. Something to keep in mind, we will be updating folks on our Clarity Weather platform as we get a little bit closer here. And of course, you can access real-time tropical tracks on the Clarity Weather app and Clarity Weather platform, along with satellite details anytime within our interactive radar. You can see the current max sustained winds, the max wind gusts, and the forecast as we work over the next several days. This will be a critical tool to utilize as we start to increase tropical activity this fall. Thanks guys for watching. We'll have more updates soon.